mandatory public participation. But I want to pause there and to remind ourselves, the public is not participating so that it may make the decision whether to impeach or not. That is not the work of the public. The public is participating so that this political process may be informed. Number two, strict constitutional timelines. And three, bicameral supermajoritarian requirements, both at initiating it and at the removal. This is not accidental draftsmanship. These are deliberate constitutional choices that vest the impeachment power firmly and finally in the hands of Parliament, and not the courts, in the hands of Parliament. Why? Because Parliament is elected. Parliament is an elected body. Political accountability is to an elected body that we call Parliament. The courts are not elected, and that is deliberate in our constitutional democracy. So we cannot have a counter-majoritarian situation where the elected representatives make a decision which is then reviewed for policy purposes by a non-elected branch. And I will be making it very clear in a very short time. That is not to say that the High Court does not have constitutional oversight over Parliament. It does. The High Court has constitutional oversight over Parliament. What does that mean? That this court, and that's why we are here this afternoon, must satisfy itself that the rights of the petitioner were respected. What can't this court do? This court cannot say, like you have been invited, that why does that particular MP say that this man was rude to another man, therefore he's impeaching him? That is beyond what you can investigate. Kenya, this our beloved republic, we have put a threshold for impeachment that is one of the highest in the world. We have made it more difficult to impeach than any other country that we can think of. You can look at paragraph 66 of the second respondent's submissions, and it will illustrate that our criteria is one of the most demanding in the world. Look at the United States that prides itself as the biggest democracy in the world. You require only a simple majority in the House of Representatives to initiate impeachment. In Kenya, you require 2/3, almost an impossibility. Under the old constitution, you require 2/3 to change the constitution. It's a very, very, very high threshold. In the proceedings now before you, my lords, we have 282 members who voted in favor. 44 voted against. That is not a partisan squeak. That is a constitutional supermajority of extraordinary proportions. Some explanation has been given as to why Parliament votes in this way. We have no evidence. No evidence has been brought before you. It's political opinion, and whoever holds it is entitled to it. Let me come now, my lords, to what is your duty in the humble submission of the Attorney General of Kenya. What is the duty of the court when we have reached this point? Should this court proceed to a merit review of the impeachment? Should it relitigate the proceedings as the petitioners very boldly demand? Our respectful answer is that you should not, and you cannot. You must resist the invitation to turn these proceedings into a merit review of the impeachment. If Parliament was full of wise men, would they have reached this decision? If the Senate was full of angels, would they have reached this decision? And that is one question you should not be tempted to answer. What, in our very humble view, should you do, my lords, as your duty? Your very simple duty is to ask yourselves, was there a violation of the constitutional rights of the petitioner? That's all. Was there a violation of the constitutional rights of the petitioner? That's a narrow, very, very narrow inquiry. This is not my personal opinion. It is the settled jurisprudence of the Republic of Kenya. It is the settled jurisprudence of the Republic of Kenya as enunciated by the Supreme Court of Kenya, the highest court in our republic, in the case of Sonko versus the County Assembly of Nairobi City and against 11 others. This is what the Supreme Court said, and I beg your indulgence to read verbatim. Likewise, in Justice Kariuki Mate and another versus Martin Nyaga Wambora and another, this court signaled that it would be reluctant to question parliamentary procedures as long as they did not breach the Constitution, and that the mandate of the court is restricted by the doctrine of separation of powers to deciding on matters of individual rights and fundamental freedoms, and to inquire into how the County Assembly and the Senate perform duties in which they alone have the discretion, or to review the merit of the decision by the County Assembly to impeach the governor. What does this mean in practical terms for today's proceedings?